Got to do it. One heck of a season to say, you know what? We're going to go live following every 76ers game. I honestly, that Houston Rocket win was the worst thing possible. It really was.
Got you in.
That was such a bad job by me. Good evening, everybody. Another gutless, embarrassing performance by the 76ers. Yet again, coming on the home floor. Excuses out the window. I ain't got time for it. Professional ball club representing Philadelphia, 76ers with Joel Embiid. VJ got hurt, with Tyrese Maxey. VJ got hurt. Still, though, you got professional ball players out there, and you got embarrassed yet again. You got run out of your own damn gym yet again. And as we were talking about in our group chat, this is one of many games that has happened so far this season, still with 21 to go. I'm sure we're going to see a couple more blowouts, but this is up there, and it's probably not even the worst one that they suffered. 40-point loss at home on national TV. The Spurs walked in to Xfinity Mobile Arena and treated it like it was a YMCA open run, Sean. Yeah. That was it was straight up a public execution happening right on the floor for everybody to consume. NBC throwback. Yeah, we're throwing it back to the days of Dana Barros and company, early 90s, with that type of performance. Hello, everybody. Sean Bray, Sean Barnard. Sean, I'm disgusted. Disgusted.
Yeah, as you should be, Sean Brace. And I think, for starters, the broadcast, it was excellent. The whole throwback thing, everything was awesome, except they didn't give him an actual basketball game to broadcast of. These guys are just joshing around, telling stories without any actual basketball to break down for the past hour and a half that we've been watching this game here. And probably the biggest indictment on this entire Sixers team is what you just hit on. That wasn't even the most embarrassing loss of the season, man. We have options to pick from for what was the most embarrassing that I've felt when flipping on a Sixers game this year. There wasn't heart. There wasn't effort. I understand the Spurs are the better team. I didn't have much hope that the Sixers were going to win this team or win this game. But what I did was at least some level of competence. And it feels like that seems like an increasingly high bar for this team to clear.
What so many ways to go. And it's just for the people that are immediately going to check in and go, no Joel Embiid, taking on a Spurs team that just won 11 in a row, better team, and the Sixers weren't going to have a shot. I can live. Point spread was 6.5, 7.5. Most shops that I saw had it at 7.5. There was a 6.5 floating around at tip. So if you think about that, odds makers are saying that there's going to be some sort of fight, maybe a double-digit game throughout the course, but at least when it gets down to fourth quarter, as all NBA games do, it gets a little tighter. Sixers have now been boat raced multiple times at home, whether it was the Knicks, the Hornets, or this one taking place this evening, a 40-point loss to the San Antonio Spurs. And it was just ugly from the beginning. Turnovers, lackluster play, no effort. Spurs were hitting, clicking, making it look way too easy than what it should have been. And it starts at the top, Sean. I get the players on the floor, but Daryl Morey, this roster you put together is just not good enough. Nick Nurse, you don't have your team prepared, ready to go for 4 quarters. I feel bad for Maxey. I really do.
Yeah.
I just everybody takes a piece of the blame pie here.
Yeah, and Maxey, I feel sympathetic to Maxey the more this season has gone on, because for starters, he's just going through a ridiculous work rate that is unsustainable for any player, and he continues to go out there and battle. Thankfully, they pulled the plug on him in the third quarter. He's still logged today as far as minutes played when it comes to Tyrese, but he still played 25 minutes, poured in 21 points, had 8 rebounds. Him leading the team in 8 rebounds is a concern in itself right there, and I get it. Victor Wembanyama's an alien, that this Spurs team is legitimately good, that they should be viewed as contenders in the West, but I just need a little bit more spirit. I just need a little bit more fight. I just need a little bit more of a team that looks like they care about the quality of basketball on a night-to-night basis. And it feels like it's been months since we got that consistently, that I was so fired up at the start of the season, where it felt like for the first time in the entirety of the Joel Embiid era, where it was not just living and dying with, can this 7-foot dude carry you to victories as an MVP caliber player? It felt like there was a plan in place for how can we win games without just needing him to backpack us to wins. And then the more the season went on, the more that dissipated right there. The more just impossible that task seemed. And some of that surely is tied to Embiid being more available and suiting up at a more regular rate. But that spirit, that effort, that standard that Tyrese Maxey himself talked about coming into the season, it just doesn't feel like it's there anymore, man. I'm not saying this team quit, but what I am saying is that this team doesn't have like the get up that they did at the start of the year. And that falls on everyone. That is a across the organization indictment right there. And they got to wear that on the chest. There's no way to duck that. That just is the facts of what is happening.
10 for 42 from downtown. 10 for 42, 24%. 35% from the field, 33 of 95. Good grief.
Awful.
Yeah, just a terrible, terrible display. And again, just it can't happen like this at home. The largest lead of the game, the Spurs were up by 49 at one point in time. 49.
And by the way, so obviously this game got out of hand super early. It came out of halftime, and I didn't think there was any sort of comeback effort in this team, but that was when I was eyeing of, is there a little bit of pride? Is there a little bit of heart? And you know what happened in the third quarter, Sean Brace, is the Spurs outscored the Sixers 35-11. The Sixers scored 11 points in that third quarter. I know third quarters have been an Achilles heel for whatever weird reason, but it is. It's effort, it's fight, it's mentality. These aren't basketball adjustments. These are like look yourself in the mirror adjustments, and these have been lost. It does feel like the Nick Nurse like effort level and the coaching, the scheme, like all those stuff deserve criticism, that he still coaches this team like it's the 2019 Raptors. Like you want Tyrese Maxey and Quentin Grimes to be able to shift around and, you know, chase shooters like they're Kawhi Leonard and OG Anunoby when they're just not at the skill set right there. But it more feels like there isn't like the adjustments being made. There isn't this, he's getting under guys. When I look at the Celtics right now, and of course we're coming off that matchup, think about what that team looks like and how much they're overachieving versus this Sixers team. Look at that Celtics roster. That is not a second in the East caliber of roster. They got Hugo Gonzalez, Jordan Walsh, Nehemiah Keita, all guys that I like individually, but the point still stands that they've missed their best player. They've been without Jason Tatum from start to finish, and that team still had a standard for what to expect on a night to night, that they find ways to win games. They have this inherent scrappiness, this heart, this ability to compete. None of that applies to the Philadelphia 76ers, that they just don't have that as an identity, as like that's not their baseline. And that's a problem. You're going to continue to be exposed when that's the case. And every team is going to be capable of taking advantage of that. Other teams want it more.
I don't believe the 76ers led at all this game. I don't believe they did.
No, because Spurs started out, I think it was 9-0. It was definitely 6-0. I think they went up to a 9-0 advantage right off tip. Yeah, I don't think they definitely did not hold a lead from any point in this game.
Yeah, no lead. They were tied at one point in the first quarter. And that was it. The Spurs literally owned them from start to finish. It's just unacceptable, right? Like it has to be this. And this ownership group is in such a bad spot with everything that is circling around them. And I don't care to get into it, but if you're not paying attention, it's not good right now from that standpoint. Who's running the show? Like ultimately, they need to go ahead and tap Bob Myers in here. Like that's got it. They're have to.
Like that's been kind of like the worst kept secret in the league. Is it's straight up bizarre, to be honest, that Bob Myers is like sitting courtside at multiple Sixers games. I've seen him there 2-3 times this year at games that I've been in, and I'm not there at every game. Like there's been games that I've been there that I notice him sitting right next to David Adelman and doing his whole thing, which is just strange in a nutshell right there. But then you factor into how this season is going. And I know we've dug into the Jared McCain conversation quite a bit. And by the way, he scored 20 points off the bench for the Western Conference leading Oklahoma City Thunder. That this Sixers team that I'm begging for any ounce of competitiveness and fight. He's playing for the defending champs. And I get to hear Nick Nurse say, we don't have minutes for him. There's not a role for him. We have too many guards. This team's too deep. Well, the Thunder have found a way to incorporate him to his offense. And guess what? He's doing incredible for him, playing his role to a T. And if you want to do indictments on both these guys, for Nick Nurse directly, look at the way that Jared McCain is being used in Oklahoma City, moving off ball, running pin downs for him, creating plays for him. That didn't happen once this year in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform. That, yes, I hear you. He did not play his best from an injury standpoint. He for sure was working himself back at the start of the season. But the difference in effort to actually create plays and maximize a guy's talent, which is what coaching is night and day different versus what he's seeing in OKC. And then to go to the general manager conversation, not only did Daryl Morey make the decision to trade away Jared McCain on a team that is desperately lacking offensive creators and any sorts of consistent offense right there, but then he grandstands on it on the way out the door. We believe how deep this team is. I'm certain we're selling high, and time will tell. Well, dude, it's been like less than 2 months here, and this guy has been considerably better than just about any member of this Sixers team. So the kind of disrespect out the door, I think, just paints everyone in bad light right here. And the fact of the matter is, we're just left watching whatever version you want to describe the Sixers team as. And the only way to describe it is one that is not good enough to make any sort of postseason noise.
Yeah, that's the issue, right? It's like, we're hoping and praying that Joel Embiid returns and look out, everything's going to be fine. And who knows what will happen. And I really don't even care to have a positive outlook at this point in time. They don't deserve it. VJ Edgecombe left the game with a lower back injury. Maxey finished with 21 points, it looks like. I can't even see the damn television screen. I know I got the box score right in front of me. But bottom line is, man, that's just like zero pride. And like, I'm trying to make it simple because I think that's what it comes down to. It's just about effort and pride and the fact that you're a professional basketball player in this city at home. And the Spurs are a good basketball club. Like, I'm not here to deny that, but it just, there was no effort there. And like the Spurs were running circles around them from the beginning. It felt like they were a little bit out of sync. You saw Maxey with a terrible turnover early. It was just a terrible start, and they were never able to gain a grip. And as we pointed out, they were down the whole game. But I'm having a really hard time, just like thinking big picture because of the effort and the fact that they have been blown out multiple times. Like, this team is fraudulent. And like, I'm not even talking about in a manner of competing for something more than, or competing for anything come postseason. They're fraudulent in the manner of like, dude, you guys are professionals. Like, act like it. There's just zero pride tonight. Zero.
Yeah, zero. And even if Joel Embiid returns, it can be somewhat of the best version of himself. We'll see what that looks like. Even if Prescription P, Paul George, is able to step up off the shelf, return from suspension, and find a way to play good basketball once again. Like, what are they returning to? Like, it felt like there was a vision to how all these parts could fit together. And that sort of have been lost in the plot here. Like, you can't just wait around and hope for these guys. You have to find ways to actually build towards when everything comes together to work. And it just feels like this entire offense is just Tyrese Maxey running around desperately trying to create a shot. The entire defense is them just cycling around, rotating at an unnecessary rate, chasing shooters off the three-point line to just create wide open looks for other teams. They basically do other teams' work for them by all the rotations and creating shots for the other team. Both the Spurs and Celtics are particularly teams that are just, that's exactly the way they want to play. And the Sixers just make it so easy for them. So on both sides of the ball, I'm just not seeing the identity for this team. I guess I will say we did at least get that highlight, that little VJ Edgecombe behind the back steal and moment. That was the one positive I'll take from today.
Yeah, about that. That's about it. So is that your player of the game, VJ Edgecombe, because of that one pass?
And I'll also note, I kind of wouldn't have minded a little somebody to get in Carter Bryant's face when that happened there. It wasn't that dirty. Like, it was unnecessary. I'm just saying at that stage of the game, and based on who VJ Edgecombe has been, and as a credit to VJ, he's kind of been that guy to get in guys' faces when that has happened there. I would have liked a little step to Carter Bryant and, turn the temperature up a little bit. Show me some ounce of caring. And that was another example to me of, like, nobody was there to defend their guy. Nobody was there to ride. And, like, that kind of speaks a little bit of volumes to the way the mentality is to this team.
Agreed. When was the game that Drummond squared up, right? At least there was some fight in that one. What game was that? Who was that against?
Threw the Dukes up. I forget who that was against. Was that I can't remember who that was against. It was Western
Orlando. Was it Orlando? It was
Orlando.
Yes. That was another one. We've had multiple. I can't I guess because there will be a lot of people out there that will be like, what did you expect? I didn't expect the 40-point loss. Like, we are down to the nitty-gritty of this season. We are talking about playoff spots. They're like, again, I keep coming back to the word pride. It's like you pointed out, what are they coming back to from Paul George and Joel Embiid? Put Paul George to the side. Let's talk about Joel Embiid. The fact that the big man is out there giving it all. And like, darn well, you got to keep things afloat for him to return here. And you put up that effort, 131-91 at home. Just inexcusable.
Yeah, and it was the Orlando Magic and Wendell Carter there. By the way, that was a 41-point loss in that game as well. So we can't have this many options of what was the most embarrassing loss. What was the biggest blowout on the season? because they are plentiful when you dive through the Sixers game log and box score of what went down. There's too many of these games, man, that if you want to be considered a serious franchise, a serious NBA team, a team with the intentions of winning, this can't just be a regular thing, and it sort of has been to this point. Like, I know and this is certainly way worse after tonight, the numbers were. I sorted it in net rating compared to, of course, they're sixth in the Eastern Conference. When you look at just point differential, meaning, of course, how many you win by, how many you lose by, they would have been 16th in the NBA for that specific metric right there. And I do think that's a bit more proper lens to view it through when you add up all the results. 16th best team in the league versus sixth best team in the Eastern Conference is a different scale that we're sort of measuring on.
So the Hornets game that they ended up losing was at Charlotte, 130-93. Correct? That was game in Charlotte.
Correct.
But the rest of them have been happening on the home floor, right? When they got blown out. And that's the tough pill to swallow. You know, losing that game the way that they did before the Knicks or before the All-Star break. This one right here, as we pointed out, that Orlando loss, like, it's just so tough to sit there and watch. And for the people that are going to come back to it, because I know we got a lot of comments right from the jump that said, like, what did you guys expect? Again, I look at what this team needed to show in this spot, in this time of year, with everything that's being discussed. You had the time to go ahead and get healthy, get rested, get ready to go. Of course, your mental makeup, knowing that this game is on national television, and you get run out of your own building. It's just like, it almost feels like something needs to happen. And I don't know what that is. Is it a last ditch effort to get rid of Nick Nurse? Maybe. Is this something that you say, you know what, Nick Nurse needs to finish the season out? Because there will be no change from the manner of play, from success, wins and losses, if Nick Nurse is removed. And let's just give him the rest of the season to finish it out, because there's no harm in that. I don't know. Like, I would almost argue that, yes, there is harm, because as a fan, I don't want to watch that. That was disgusting. And I've seen it.
And I'm curious your thoughts on this, Brace. I feel that Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey are tied, that I think they're in it together, that I thought last year was a season in which, like, that had to fall on somebody. And the fact that they essentially just ran it back and hoped for better results, then this year, whatever the results of this year on, like, these are the results that you're going to be judged by. And the way that things are trending, the way this season is heading toward, like, I see no way in which both guys aren't showed the door in this. That I very much think the conversations behind closed doors was Nick Nurse vouching for Daryl Morey and Daryl Morey vouching for Nick Nurse. And the conversation turns into, okay, well, this is your season to prove it. And the other thing that I'll say about Nick Nurse, if you're to give the cards that have been dealt this year, and what I mean by that is Joel Embiid being more available and playing at a higher level than I think any sort of realistic expectations were. Tyrese Maxey taking another leap in his development this year. VJ Edgecombe being as ready as any rookie possibly could be for this moment, playing winning basketball. Kelly Oubre Jr. having some of the best basketball stretches of his career. If you're going to factor in all these factors, the results of this team should be better than they are, man. They just should be. When you're given all these, you should have more success than this team has. And that has to fall on a head coach. The job of the head coach is to maximize the talents of the player that he does, the players that he has. When you're given these qualities, when you're given these cards that he's been handed, there should be more done with it than has been the case. And I can't find any other person to direct that to than Nick Nurse completely.
Sixers will play the Utah Jazz tomorrow night. They're 9.5-point favorites.
Wouldn't lay it.
I'll take the Jazz, and they're trying to lose. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation for another day. We'll tackle that one tomorrow. You know, I honestly, as I sit here right now, I don't think you're wrong. They're tied at the hip, and that's why it's like almost like, hey, just let these guys finish out the season.
Which is what I think happens. Yeah.
You know, I think the call could come down from ownership, because that's how ugly that loss was.
Yeah.
It could come down.
But, like, at the same time, like, it's always the grass isn't greener. Like, this season feels to me that there's not a guy this is not a Rob Thompson, Joe Girardi situation in which a guy can step in and right the ship. Like, I think the reality is, like, the constraints of this team are real. Like, there's limitations. Like, when you don't have Paul George and you don't have Joel Embiid, that's 70% of your salary cap that is just sitting on the sideline right there. When you trade away Jared McCain, like, Quentin Grimes, I feel like I'm just the Quentin Grimes punching bag guy, but I continue to circle back to the belief is that this guy can be a legitimate offensive creator. And he's just not that on a regular basis. Like in tonight's game, Grimes finished with off the bench overall, or he started tonight due to the change. He played 22 minutes. He had 2 points. He was 1 of 5 shooting. Like that's not good enough, man. And I'm more offended by the 1 of 5. Like if he wants to shoot 1 for 15, I can live with that on a night like tonight. But he doesn't have that sort of motor, that pop that he has just doesn't translate to actually getting actual basketball looks and getting legitimate field goal attempts. So they don't have enough offensive creators. I hear that from a roster standpoint. That has to be worn by Daryl Morey. But again, it's maximizing the guys that you do have. And I think this is a failure on both parties.
I agree with that. Yeah, it'll be interesting, and they'll find somebody that's on the staff that could replace Nurse if they wanted to make a move. But yeah, I think that the selling of, again, it's just a matter of like, hey, we're gonna get JoJo back, we're gonna get Paul George back. Like we just have to treat this as another loss, and that could be something that is a detriment to your team as far as the mental is concerned. Like if you just allow this to happen, ho hum, and maybe you get a little bit harder practice, you're not even going to do that because the Jazz come in tomorrow. So you'll get a shoot around and that's it. So it's like, if this is just one of those, like, treat it like a normal loss when it's anything but, it's just disgusting. The display that we saw that out there tonight. That could have repercussions down the line, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's how it's been treated. That again, like it's unacceptable to lose the way that they have multiple times, and it continues to happen. So, like, is it really that big of a deal to inside the locker room that they got blown up by 40 at home? I don't know. I would assume Maxey is upset, but even he's got to laugh about this.
Yeah, and the tough part about Maxey, like I don't want any of this to really come down on Maxey because he's very much like the one bright light on this franchise, the guy that we can believe in moving forward. Like I don't want to be too overly critical of him because it's just unfair the circumstances that he has to deal with. But at the same time, when like saying that is when you are in these situation, it takes like a real leader, a real dude to like light a fire under a team. And I don't think that's Tyrese at his core. Like, I think I'm not saying he doesn't have leadership qualities or that kind of thing, but like the baseline for who he is as a personality, as a human being right there is this joyous energy, this play free, all that type of mentality. They need like a guy that wants to like throw the MFs in the room and curse guys out. Like they need that sort of energy in this locker room. It's not going to come from Joel Embiid. It's certainly not going to come from Paul George. They're just missing that. And you can bring in whatever PJ Tucker or whatever Kyle Lowry that you want in that situation. If that's not coming from the top of this roster, like the top of the pecking order, as far as how this team is created right there, you're missing something from an organizational standpoint, from a team personality standpoint. And I think that's the reality of what they're facing is there's not enough like dog energy. There's not enough like will to win, which you just need as any sort of sports team.
Bunch of comments coming in. 76ers TTP is all fired up. We love that. Andrew Bagley, this team is not good enough. Ownership doesn't care. They did nothing at the trade deadline. I can't argue that, Andrew, right? Like that was your last opportunity to improve this team. And essentially all you did was grab Campaign, and you got lucky grabbing Campaign, if we're honest about it, right?
Yeah.
And he actually played well tonight. So that's my player of the game, Campaign. There you go. I look at it, Sean, and I just more and more I'm coming back to like something's got to give, or it just is a lost cause at this point in time. And maybe they might make a playoff run. Maybe they might get to the playoffs, playing game, whatever it may be. And what I mean by a playoff run, I mean like win the play-in, advance to the playoffs, and then lose immediately in the first round. I don't know. I get there are a lot of people out there that are saying Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey, this is their last year with the 76ers. I think we would all be in agreement on that. But I do want to say, like, there's still plenty of time plenty of games to be played here. You are getting Joel Embiid back. You are getting Paul George back. And both are huge players that you have a ton of money invested in. But I still feel like if you were to remove Nick Nurse, you might get better play from everybody until they do return. Or even if they do return, you got to get the attention. What took place tonight cannot happen, and it's happened multiple times. I keep repeating myself, but it's just where we're at.
Yeah, and it's the more the things change, the more they stay the same. That this is just fully dependent on what level Joel Embiid can be at. Can he be Hercules? Can he be MVP? Can he backpack this team to actual postseason wins? And the track record for that, as much of a Joel Embiid guy that I am, like, isn't particularly strong. And I am more, I guess, sympathetic to the outlook of Embiid than most when you dive through the injury history and some of the playoff moments that he has had to this point, that I don't think it's fair to just throw that entirely on his shoulders. But the reality is that's what he's going to need to do for his team to have any sort of chance. And I'm still a believer that the Eastern Conference is wide open, that I'm still a believer if the Sixers draw the Toronto Raptors or the Cleveland Cavaliers in a first round series, if Embiid's healthy, they got a chance for sure. But then we're also talking about Embiid just kind of bailing these guys out of the wrongs that they have directly caused, and that being Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey right there. Of, like, you can't just hitch your wagon to wherever Embiid's going to take you because you inherited this. This was not your guy that's able to backpack you to this level. Like, for Morey and Nurse directly, it can't just be based on give Joel Embiid the ball and get out of the way and let him do everything defensively. I need more from both of you guys for how this team is actually going to take steps to win basketball games and make some sort of postseason run.
I'm not even going to tweet out fire Nick Nurse, or I would fire Nick Nurse. It's just I won't be surprised if it does happen tonight. I really won't. But if it doesn't happen, show rolls on and more of the same.
Yeah, the thing I'll say to that is I think like all parties here are pretty content with they've made their bed, they got to sleep in it, and they're going to see how this season plays itself out. Like, and Nurse is he'll have his like redemption tour of it's so unfair, the situations I dealt with, Joel not being available. But I kind of don't have sympathy for that either because, dude, you know the deal. Like, you know the Joel Embiid outlook. I get it. He's been less available these last 2 seasons than ever before in his career. But that's part of what comes with coaching Joel Embiid is you got to be innovative. You got to be creative. You got to find ways to win without him. That's what comes with the territory. That I understand the goal of Nick Nurse coming to Philadelphia was to maximize Joel Embiid. And I think you can make a fair argument that he's been mildly successful in that. That Joel Embiid was better after his MVP season, before this meniscus injury really like deteriorated the second half of his career and like has really watered down what his level of availability as. He was playing at a higher level of arguably anyone in basketball. Like, that's how good he was that season. But there's more that comes with the territory as a head coach. You can't just be tied to your best player. And mind you, this is the same Nick Nurse that had such success with Kawhi Leonard being the load management poster boy, winning a championship that year. The Raptors found ways to win games when Kawhi Leonard wasn't there. Why can't the Sixers when Joel Embiid isn't?
Right? No, it's just there's like the ultimate excuse. It's like, oh, that's it. He's not in there. We're going to lose by 40. I mean, it's absurd. It really is. Quick look at the box score. Wemby went for 10 points tonight, Sean.
He was awesome, though.
He's 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 6 blocks. Yeah, he does it all. No doubt. He played 24 minutes.
The steal he had on Edgecombe where he just baited him and like a basic entry pass, and then he's just able to get there. He does some nut stuff on an every night basis. So the box score didn't pop tonight, didn't need to for the Spurs to have the success they have. But Wemby just absolutely changes every single basketball floor that he is. He's one of the most impactful players in the sport, straight up.
It's a damn good team over there in San Antonio. I know Sam Ostry, who joins us when we go 3 wide, is telling us that it's too early to take the Spurs to win it all. But that team, man, every time I get an opportunity to watch them, they look like a championship contender.
Yeah, I'm with you that I've been pumping the Spurs tires this year. Like a guy like Stephon Castle, who like he has his limitations as a player. He's got to be a better shooter in the long run. But that's a dude that I'm just ready to go to war with every single night, whether it's picking up Cade Cunningham full court. He went from guarding Cade Cunningham to guarding Karl Anthony Towns on back-to-back nights. That's absurd versatility from right there. And even in tonight's game, like he finished against the Sixers in tonight's match, played 21 minutes. He had 15 points and 10 assists. That's nuts efficiency from a dude that is in his second year, rookie of the year, coming off last year right there. Like, they have guys that are ready to go to war. And I kind of feel like the Sixers are missing in that category.
Wild, man. Absolutely wild. Once again, just a beatdown that we have seen far too often this season and too many excuses. So, you know, normally we like to break it down and get a little bit more in depth and talk a little X's and O's, but this one just doesn't deserve it, A, but B, it just doesn't go past the effort, right? Like, I just feel like Nurse has just been like it's deflating, I'm sure, but at the same time, like, it's his job to get more out of that professional ball club, no matter what, no matter the excuses, no matter who's hurt. Like, this is a home game, 7.5-point underdogs, and you lose like that, where you were just run out of your own building. And again, tied 1 point. One time they were tied this whole season, or this whole game in 4 quarters. So just a tough one there. But as I said, they roll on tomorrow, and they will be taking on the Utah Jazz at home. And the Jazz just pulled off an upset last night. Who they have? It was a pretty good game too.
I didn't even catch this one.
Yeah, Jazz. Hang on, I'll tell you right now. Jazz, or they did not lose that. No, they ended up losing it. That's right, to the Nuggets.
That's right.
That game,
Nikola Jokic. I did see that Nikola Jokic was just out there assaulting guys for all 48 minutes there. But 128-125 final.
Yeah, Jazz have lost 6 straight. So I thought they pulled off the upset in one of those games. That's not the case. They are trying to tank, and they're doing a damn good job doing it. 18-43. But like, this would be a game that if they don't get up and pick themselves off the mat, talking about the Sixers, again, I just look at it from the professional ball club standpoint, and anything is possible. But when you got a team trying to tank, I think the Sixers better. They will find a way to win the game tomorrow. I would hope so. That's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably going to be without VJ Edgecombe now, which is basically the only other reliable player outside of Tyrese Maxey. We'll see what the status is on him, but he didn't look like he was moving well immediately after the fact, and they obviously ruled him out right at halftime, which was the right call, basically, regardless of how the circumstance or how significant. Even if this was just a stinger and he's back tomorrow, I'm glad they rested him in the second half, but my gut feeling right now is I think it's pretty unlikely that he's able to play basketball tomorrow. And then we are talking about, then what is the actual ways that this team can pour on points? How can they produce enough offense against a Jazz team that is 30th in the league in opponents' points allowed, the worst defense in the league? You got to find a way to put the ball in the basket right here. I don't feel like razor sharp confident that the Sixers absolutely can do that, especially if Edgecombe can't go.
We got cousin Nicky going. Any chance they sit Maxey tomorrow? Like, who else is? You got to play somebody.
Yeah, I mean, they need to find a way.
Tyrese Martin can't be a starter.
Yeah, I mean, Campaign is going to have like 2 games where he can be the guy for a short burst right there. Maybe the Utah Jazz can be one of them, but this team's bad with Tyrese Maxey on the floor. They're certainly worse without him right there. So if he can go, he should. I'm glad that they cut his minutes tonight, pulled him out in the third quarter. I would probably guess that as far as minutes played, that what he logged tonight, with that number being with Maxey 25, I would guess that's probably the lowest in the season that he's likely played right there. So I hope he goes tomorrow. They need him to go tomorrow. It's unfortunate that we're talking about we need him against a Utah Jazz team, but I mean, if they sit him, like tomorrow's probably a pick 'em.
Utah Jazz plus 320 on the money line. Just pointing that out there. Just pointing it out. That's all. All right. Well, not to say I feel better, but it was needed. It had to happen. We're doing it every game. This is unbelievable. I can't believe we're doing this. Like, I said it. This is all my fault. I go, you know what? We're going to put this together. This team is going to make a little bit of a run. They're going to make some noise. They're going to be underestimated. Come playoff time, no one's going to believe in Paul George and Joel Embiid, nor should they against the competition in the playoffs. That was a month. That was 2-3 weeks ago that I was feeling pretty good about the playoffs. Now, I don't know. Like, are the Hornets going to sneak up and grab that playoff spot, or the Miami Heat going to be a little bit more consistent down the stretch? I don't know.
We're going to be in for the final 10-game push being really entertaining with the Sixers team. When Paul George is clear from his suspension, one would hope that Joel Embiid is able to step on the floor at regular rate and play those, maybe the final 10 consecutively, as he kind of has put forth that stretch during the mid part of the season. If we can get that, where you get Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George at an almost every game basis for the final 10 games, build a little momentum coming into the postseason, then all of a sudden the tides begin to turn a little bit. But those feel like such tall asks right now to actually believe that this can come to fruition. So in theory, I can do the Daryl Morey and squint and believe right there. But in actuality, man, that feels like an impossible task that they're taking on.
Look, you just look at the next few games here. You got Utah. They better win. Oh, by the way, tickets as low as $7 if you're trying to get down there. At the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday at 6 p.m., I don't feel good about that game. Again, it seems like Embiid's going to get tested tomorrow, right? He'll get it reevaluated tomorrow, maybe after the game, probably.
Tomorrow's the last one he's officially ruled out for, so he'll be
So
reevaluated
Thursday
after that. We'll
he'll
see.
be reevaluated. Yeah, exactly. Following that game. So whatever, if it takes up to Saturday or not. Don't have a good feeling against Cleveland. Don't have a good feeling against Atlanta. Memphis, you would like to believe at home. Jewish Heritage Night too, that they find a way to win that game. We were joking about that with Sam. Like, come on, man, throw him a bone. Like, want to go down and support, but you're playing the Grizzlies. I want to go down and support, but I got to watch the Sixers. That's really what I should be saying. Not beating the Pistons. They'll beat the Brooklyn Nets. They got the Portland Trail Blazers coming up. Then it goes Nuggets, Kings, Utah Jazz. Those are winnable games.
Yep.
Maybe not the Nuggets, but the Kings and the Jazz. OKC, Chicago, Charlotte, Miami, Washington, Minnesota. Washington, sure. I mean, they just beat Miami, whatever. Paul George will be back for these games. Detroit, San Antonio, Houston, Pacers, Milwaukee. That's what they do to close up the shop there at the end.
And that should be that, like, certainly the last two against Indiana and Milwaukee should be like good momentum wins there. So if we want to be like optimistic, like maybe that's the final push that can really propel them into the postseason here. But this is all grasping at straws, man. This is all just hoping and praying that this team can come together and look like the team they're designed on paper. But we also just haven't seen them at a regular enough rate. Like, we have not seen Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. We still, now 2 years into this experiment, haven't even seen enough of a sample size to say, can this work as a big three? Like, they just have not played enough together, and that's not fixing itself in the second half of the year or final quarter, whatever.
Yeah, Andrew Bagley checking back in. Says, yo, I need Max Crosby. So do I.
Some sort of positive vibes, man.
All right. That will do it for us. Good stuff from Sean Barnard. Make sure you read him at Crossing Broad. He's got some great posts up there. Of course, does a great job with DK Network. Sam Oster will join us on Saturday. We'll be back at it tomorrow night.
Yeah. Utah Jazz, baby.
I will be ready to go on Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, we will talk about the Utah Jazz and the 76ers. Once again, what time is that game? 7 o'clock?
Yes, 7 o'clock. A little earlier. 7:30. 7:30.
A little earlier, as Sean just said. So we'll see what happens there. All right. Anything else you want to get off your chest? You good?
No, I think that was a good vent session, good therapy session right there. It does make me feel a little bit better to get it off the windpipe, so I'm not just sleeping on that. But yeah, miserable experience from start to finish tonight watching the Sixers game.
Good God, could you imagine being on the radio, like really having to like break that one down, give you like real in-depth breakdown? Like I'm like, as I was watching that in the second half, I was just like, I can't believe this is the team that, like I was believing in and has shown us some glimpses, and a team that you want to buy into the fact that it's Philly. We're tough. Like we were down. What was the game that they were double-digit favorites? That was the Nuggets game.
Yeah.
Nobody played, and it was like there was no fight in that game, right? Ended up losing it. It's just a tough season, man, in the grand scheme of things. And you hope that it will change with the health of the big man. And of course, I continue to bang the drum for Paul George. I don't know many people that do it like me, but I know that he was playing well, and I think he'll be rested, ready to go, and he will be a good addition to this club in a much needed time. We'll just see what this club looks like at that point in time when he does return. But tonight was not pretty. That's for damn sure. For Sean Barnard, I'm Sean Brace. Let's get the hell out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm off from the Fanatic. Let's rock and roll tomorrow night. We'll be right back here. Sixers wrap up. As always, powered by 97.5 Gong 'em.
Let them know.
Oh. All right, we're done. Gong 'em.